Hi everyone, my name's Haley Farmer, and today I'm going to walk through my experience using Bolt AI to create a simple web game. So I knew I wanted to create a game similar to Pac-Man, and so I first started by giving Bolt AI this prompt. It says, build a complete Pac-Man game as a single page web app using HTML, CSS, JavaScript, no frameworks, with the requirements that it has to have the whole game be different shades of pink and purple. Allow the main player to have 3 lives. After 3 lives, show a game over screen. Allow Pac-Man to move around the screen by navigating with the arrow keys, and then show that Pac-Man is folded in on itself when it dies. And lastly, to use the famous Pac-Man sounds when playing. So it's important to note that this output is effort from 2 days of trying and 3 different emails used to sign in because I kept running out of daily credits. My very first prompt had a requirement to provide the full code in one HTML file so that I can go through and double check everything after. But that was a problem because it did not provide me with a downloadable or clickable file, and the game did not load either. It would just redirect me to another website. So then I had to create another account to test again, and I had the same result. So then I created a third profile and deleted that requirement to have the HTML file from my prompt. But that time, the ask must have been too great because it asked me to finish up the next day when I had more tokens. So there are some obvious limitations to using a free tool like this. But this is the final output after 2 days and after changing my prompt a bit. So you can see that it is pink and purple like I asked, and it has the start game. It even adds some descriptions to use the arrow keys to move and to collect all the dots and avoid the ghosts. It does have the traditional Pac-Man sounds. However, you might notice right away that one thing that's wrong with this is that it doesn't necessarily follow the path set for it. It can move outside of the limits. So that's one thing that I didn't specify in my prompt that better prompting could have probably fixed that. The other thing is that all 3 of the little ghosts are mashed up into one instead of them running around by themselves. I'll let it kill me. But you can see that as I instructed, the Pac-Man folded in on itself. It does have the sounds that I wanted to include. One other thing that I noticed is that I can come here and then move to the side. Oh, it's not doing it this time. But before, I would move to the side and it would stay like off to the side and not be visible on the screen like it is right now. Like Pac-Man is no longer on the screen. And so what would happen is the ghost would come over to that corner to try and get me, but they would just bounce back because there's nothing there. It's just the end. But it's like a little loophole that I found. I can move back and forth. Also, it's strangely the ghosts were not moving and following me that time. So it is a little bit inconsistent. I'll die one more time so that you can see the game over. Come on. And I think the ghost can only get me when I'm on that path. So that's another limitation. And see, now the ghost is not even on the path. It's like jumping around inside the other lane. Okay, but now I died and you can see the game over screen, which is another one of the requirements that I had. So overall, it's pretty good. For the prompt that I gave it, it followed the traditional style of how Pac-Man is played. I didn't specify anything about having the little fruits so that like it can turn me into the Pac-Man that can eat the ghosts. I actually kind of assumed that it would automatically do that, but it didn't. So that was an interesting learning. And then obviously there's the limitations with making sure it follows the path and then the weird loophole where you're off to the side. But for what I put in, I think it was a pretty good output. I think with some more prompting and better prompting, you can get pretty close to what you're envisioning in your mind. So this is a no code AI tool. So anyone who is non-technical can easily create their own custom solution for their specific needs. Compared to traditional methods of game development, this saves an immense amount of time and probably frustration from coding, as this does not require any coding experience at all. Bolt AI will drastically reduce the time, effort, and complexity needed to create a custom game like this, but there are some obvious limitations. If you have a long or very detailed prompt, it will break the coding down over a few days if you're using the free version, which I came to find out. And this can make it a bit more time consuming than expected. You also have to be very detailed in your prompt to ensure that the output is exactly what you had in mind. And when coding, if you're coding this yourself, you can usually change a line or two pretty quickly to get the formatting desired. But using a tool like this will require a new command and more tokens to get to your desired format. And so sometimes when I coded with it, or not coded, but when I put in a prompt, it gave me two tries to put in a prompt, and then other times it only gave me one try to put in a prompt because of the tokens. So it's a little inconsistent there as well. So it could take multiple days to create exactly what you're looking for. And you can see that I was not crystal clear in my prompt and that there are some inconsistencies with my game compared to an actual game of Pac-Man, like the Pac-Man moving outside of the designed path and disappearing in the sides of the game. However, a tool like Bolt AI can be incredibly beneficial for small businesses and startups. It can be used for rapid prototyping and validation, where they can spin up a game in days instead of months to show stakeholders. They can also spin up multiple versions of the game quickly to put in front of target users and A/B tests for fast feedback. Companies could also use a tool like this for marketing and engagement, to showcase a fun game for product launches, or even for an icebreaker for a big presentation or trainings. And Bolt AI can be beneficial in other industries outside of gaming as well. There is a big opportunity to leverage this in education, where teachers can create their own EdTech modules without needing to partner with EdTech companies. They can adapt their lessons plans to a fun game and even tailor the difficulty level to match their students' competence. A tool like this can also be helpful in training in highly regulated or high-risk sectors like in healthcare. They can use the tool for clinical workflow simulations, scenario-based decision training, or other onboarding tools for care staff. So I put in very little requirements for the user experience, but the tool did a great job of mimicking the actual Pac-Man game. If you wanted to create a brand new game from scratch, I imagine that you would need to be very detailed on what the expected UX should be, how the interface should look, and how the experience should feel when playing. For the input that I gave the tool, I'm actually very impressed by the quality of Bolt AI, and I will continue to tinker with the tool in the future. Thanks for listening.